Hello again, folks. Now, there are various reasons why I joined the armed forces. One, to get me out of poverty. Two, to make something of myself, because I grew up really poor, really dirt poor, and I didn't have a chance against all the other kids. They all had money, they all had advantage. I couldn't compete. There was nothing I could do. I was mocked and ridiculed for being poor, for having nothing, wearing cheap clothes and shoes. And the only thing my high school taught me was, when I left, that I was thick as shit and I wouldn't amount to anything. I still believe that in a way. It's weird how things ingrained in you at that age can stick with you. Anyway, so I wanted to be equal. I wanted a fair chance against other people to do well, and where better to do that than the armed forces? So I joined up. Everyone was of equal footing, or so I thought. I was the only guy in my basic training platoon, Minden platoon, Litchfield, who hadn't been a cadet. Everyone else had. But because we were all equal, the only thing I didn't have was that knowledge, which they had. I did well. I came fifth. I got the most improved, or best Hmong as they call it, back then. And yeah, I did myself proud. Did 8 years. Listen, it doesn't matter how long you did in the army. As far as I'm concerned, you join up, you do your 3 years, you go, you've got my respect. You got the bollocks to join up. It doesn't matter. Your time of service shouldn't judge your service whatsoever. I mean, I know dickheads who went so far as Sergeant Major, etc., but they're still dickheads. I know great guys who did 3 years and left, and they're still great guys. That's the way it is. But my point being, everyone should be equal. Everyone should have an equal chance. I know I'm not preaching socialism here. Socialism is a different kind of equal. Some people in socialism are more equal than others. And that's another reason I joined up as well. Even back then, I believed in free speech, democracy. Everyone should be equal under the law. And never in a million years would I think back then, in 97, when I did my basic training, the country that I fought for would turn out to be something like 1984, a hellish socialist landscape where some people are more equal than others. I'm talking about the two-tier justice system. We saw it with the Southport riots last year. Many other things as well. It's not just the police, the way they police, who they arrest. It's the justice system itself. And now a legislation has caused a bit of a drama in Parliament and in the mainstream media, because in a nutshell, it's calling for judges to base their sentencing guidelines or imprisonment depending on your religion and ethnicity. Now, my take on it is this: if I commit a crime, my partner in crime is of a different ethnicity to me, black, Asian, Middle Eastern, whatever, and we're stood in the dock, a woke judge will be ordered by Keir Starmer and Labour to jail me because of my skin colour and let the other guy off. If it's like an initial sentencing or you've just been charged, then I will be remanded and the other guy will get bail, all depending on skin colour and religion. How does that work? It shouldn't work. It shouldn't be like this in Britain in 2025. I keep saying 2024 for some reason, but that's just me. Anyway, so I don't think this will get pushed through, because it really is just, I mean, it's a mockery of everyone's rights. It'll be a violation of my civil rights. I do have civil rights. We all should have civil rights. I shouldn't get more or less of a sentence because of my skin colour. Nobody should. That's not fair. That's not right, both morally and legally. Can you imagine all the true heroes of World War II who died and fought against true tyranny, Nazism, fascism, the real Nazis, by the way, and they're looking down from heaven, wherever they are now, and they see Britain like this. Their ancestors, their grandsons, granddaughters are looking at an unfair justice system they're looking at being penalised for the skin colour. I wouldn't be happy, would you? I really wouldn't. But there's something going on in this country, and I think Keir Starmer's election has kind of amplified it, about how wrong, corrupt, sleazy and just unfair those who govern us are. I mean, this is a Christian country. It's not racist or anything to say that. It's true. It's the predominant religion here, though not many practice it. I'm a Christian. I don't go to church. I have my own relationship with God. We have monuments here, Westminster, lots of cathedrals, churches, etc. Sadly, many of these chapels now are being turned into houses and apartments and flats and properties because people just aren't going anymore. We're not like we used to be in the days gone by, but still Christianity is kind of being eroded in this country, and I don't like it. I really don't like it. Our head of state held an event for another religion in Windsor Castle on Shrove Tuesday. Our Prime Minister Keir Starmer held an event for that same religion in Westminster Hall on Shrove Tuesday. It was Shrove Tuesday, Ash Wednesday. It's not a biggie, but it's an important Christian day, holy day, isn't it? The pair of them, they lead up to Easter, which is a biggie, and yet nothing from the pair of them. They kind of pandered and bend over backwards for this certain religion which gets wrapped in cotton wool for some reason. And I've talked to members of this religion, and they're on the same mindset as me. They don't understand the special treatment. They don't want it. They really don't. But some of them do, unfortunately, and it's, in my view, taking the piss. It really is taking the pee. And it shouldn't be like that. Again, it should be equal footing. Our head of state and our government, who we pay taxes to both, and considering the head of state, King Charles, is also the head of the Anglican Church here, nothing from him whatsoever, nothing. It's like he doesn't care. It always makes you think that the guy's converted, doesn't it? But there we go, that's where we are now. That's what I fought for. Well, what I ended up fighting for. It wasn't equal footing, freedom of speech, democracy at all. It was for a very oppressive socialist government in the future, and a head of state whose mother is, and father, Philip, I bet, are now rolling in their graves. And I can understand now why she waited until she died to pass the throne over, because the guy's useless. He can't fill her shoes. He really couldn't, even though I bet she had teeny tiny feet. I've seen her, I met her. She was about year high. About as tall, no, she was shorter than Tom Cruise, I think. Anyway, that's where we are now, and it's a sad state of affairs. And if this happens, I can see it kicking off in this country. I'm not calling for it to, but it will. You put the native population under more scrutiny than anyone else when it comes to the law, and you're asking for trouble, aren't you? This is how revolutions started. Just unfairness by heads of state and government. That's how they all start, and it's not right. So hopefully this new legislation will be kicked into touch, as it rightly should be, and that's that. If it passes, if it goes through, if it's made law, then God help this government, I say. Really. I really do think so. Nothing will happen in this country unless it affects the middle classes. There'll be nothing done about mass migration, nothing done about anything else that affects this country unless it starts to affect the privileged middle classes, and then something will get done about it. But because we're poor, because we're working class, it affects us. Healthcare, travel, social housing, etc., schools, they don't care. But when it affects their privileged private healthcare, when they infringe on their private healthcare, when they've got to wait their turn, months, maybe years, for an appointment, when their kids are in classes that are 30 or 50 big, large, when it affects the way they travel, then you'll see changes in this country, because those who are more equal than others have a bigger say, and that's really sad in my view. This isn't the country I fought for. This isn't the result of my labours in the army, or anyone else for that matter, I don't think. But it's crazy, isn't it? Think about it. The government's pushing for legislation where you as a white man or woman are more likely to go to prison than a black or Asian or Middle Eastern person, simply because of skin colour. Can't believe we're talking about this, but here we are. Keir Starmer again. You watch, it'll go through. You watch, it'll happen. It'll really happen. Wow. Anyway, I'm done. Hope you like. Let me know what you think in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't. If you have, I love you lots. And I'll see you at the next one. Take care. And Roger Trout.